What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Monday night live stream. How's everybody doing? How's everybody tuning in from? City, state, country? What's going on, y'all? Big shout out to you tuning in from Milwaukee. Raleigh, Florida. What's going on, y'all? All right. I'm gonna wait for some folks to come and roll on in before I get started. This is gonna be an important stream tonight. Now, I got a lot of things to talk about. I'll try to simplify it as much as I can, because I'm gonna be spending some time talking about chronic illness tonight. And reversing chronic illnesses, it can be kind of complicated, but there are some fundamental things that have to happen in order for healing to really start. So I'm going to be talking about that tonight, right? And this is going to be talking about, getting into what are the green flags to recognize. What are the green lights that you need to look out for to know whether or not you're in a healing state or not, right? Whether or not you're making progress or not. Or whether you're even in the position to make progress at all, right? So I'm going to be talking about that. Our favorite teacher, I appreciate that. Yakira Israel, what's going on? Big shout out to you. All right, Annie tuning in from Maryland, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Pat, that's right. My neck kind of cold, y'all. Hold on a second. All right. All right. So, if you haven't already, hitting the like button, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop kick the like button, as they say. And I'm not going to waste too much more time. I'm going to get into it, right? So, what I wanted to start with here, hold on one second. What I wanted to start with tonight and really dive into is reversing chronic illness, healing from chronic illness, and what is preventing this from happening. Whether you've got high blood pressure, or hypertension, type 2 diabetes, or even type 1 diabetes, whether you've got lupus, diverticulitis, any form of irritable bowel syndrome, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, obesity, hypothyroidism, PCOS, right? Regardless of what the chronic illness is, and there's a whole plethora of them, there's something that has to happen, or there's a few things that have to happen in order for the healing process to really truly begin. All of this can be boiled down to reducing stress as much as possible to get the green lights. Now, when people talk about stress, your body doesn't differentiate between stressors. So you have like this one big stress bucket, and there's a variety of different types of stress. We have mental stress, emotional stress, physical stress. We have stress in different parts of our body, right? And your body internalizes all of this stress as just stress. And this stress shows up in the body as cellular damage, right? This shows up as oxidative stress. And on a cellular level, cells become damaged and they break down and deteriorate over time under this oxidative stress, and your body responds to that oxidative stress with inflammation. When people talk about inflammation, inflammation isn't just like swelling or discoloration of skin, like a bruise or something like that. That's not what it is. Inflammation is any activation of the immune system. It's essentially what it is, right? So essentially what happens is stress, your body feels attacked and it defends itself by activating your immune system, and that is inflammation. And that inflammation shows up in a variety of different ways. A lot of this stuff we don't actually like. Now, what we often talk about, right, when it comes to inflammation is people say, I want to get rid of inflammation, right? Oh, do this because this stops inflammation. You don't necessarily want to stop or interrupt inflammation. Inflammation is not inherently a bad thing. In fact, inflammation is needed. It's actually necessary. But most importantly, it serves as an indicator to remind you that there is a stressor that the inflammation is being caused by. So you have to go to the root of the problem, right? So really what you want to do is you want to interrupt the oxidative stress, the source of it. And I'll give you an example of a type of stress or inflammatory response that we may not even really realize is an inflammatory response. Let's say you're diabetic or you're insulin resistant, right? You can wake up first thing in the morning and your blood sugar is really elevated and you haven't even eaten anything yet. And you say, well, how's that possible? Right? I haven't eaten anything. I thought, blood sugar gets risen by like carbs or sugar or whatever the case is. So how is it that I'm waking up first thing in the morning and I haven't eaten anything yet? My blood sugar's through the roof. Right? Or it could be really late at night and you finished having your last meal 5-6 hours ago. Blood sugar's up. How's this possible? And that is because stress in and of itself can raise your blood sugar. It often does raise your blood sugar along with your blood pressure, right? This can be caused by pain. Let's say you're dehydrated. Let's say your glycogen stores are really low. So your brain is not getting enough oxygen or it doesn't have the necessary levels of glucose needed to really power your brain. So this can cause high blood pressure and high blood sugar, right? It's little things like that that really open our eyes up to there's a lot of things that affect us in a way that we don't even realize that has nothing to do with diet necessarily, right? And this is very important because people say to me, well, I'm diabetic or I'm insulin resistant and, I was told to avoid fruit because, it has a lot of sugar in it to raise my blood pressure or to raise my blood sugar. Fruit doesn't really raise your blood pressure, but it'll raise my blood sugar. And there is no scientific evidence whatsoever that shows that fruit is something that you should avoid if you're diabetic because it'll make the situation worse. Because in fact, it actually make it better. Now I'll explain and I'll talk about that a little bit and there's a reason why. Because insulin resistance is actually way more common than we may think. Right? Some people are walking around insulin resistant or very close to being diabetic and not even realizing it. They think they're fine. Right? In actuality, they're not. Right? As a matter of fact, most obese people actually are insulin resistant. Right? So if you're struggling to lose weight, chances are you're insulin resistant. If you're exhausted or tired all the time, chances are you're insulin resistant. Right? There's some form of mitochondrial dysfunction going on. Our body can manifest levels of inflammation or inflammation that changes our behavior. So it may not be swelling or discoloration or anything like that. It may be your mood changes and compels you to do things that you would rather not do. An example of that would be food cravings. Inflammation can cause you to have food cravings. Let's say you're under a lot of mental and emotional stress and sleep deprivation. These three things combined, even two of those things, can lead to you having food cravings. There are only three food cravings, only three. sweet, salty, crunchy. Those are the three. If you think about any food craving that you have or have had, it's going to fit into one of those three, right? Cakes, cookies, whatever kind of pastries, either these will be sweet, salty, and sometimes even crunchy, right? And you may say salty. Well, donuts aren't salty. Well, taste a donut without the salt in it, and you'll see what I mean. Right? Eat cookies without any salt in it. You'll see what I mean. Doesn't really taste that good. Sugar can actually reduce pain. Right? So can salt. Salt actually reduces stress. So for an example, you have stress and then your body responds to stress with, let's say, cortisol. So you feel really stressed, and then your adrenal glands release cortisol, which is a stress hormone, right? Now, let's say you wake up first thing in the morning and you do 8 ounces of water, squeezed key lime, and a pinch of sea salt, and you drink that down. That would actually reduce your cortisol level, right? And this has been like a thing that's tested. This is like physiologically verified through scientific data that salt reduces cortisol. Right? Stress reduces, salt reduces stress. That's why it's one of the food cravings. When you're very exhausted, your body responds to this exhaustion or fatigue with sugar cravings. If you are chronically exhausted, this can lead to sugar cravings. You just want quick sugar, something really sugary. Right? Is because the brain craves sugar, especially when you're chronically deprived of energy, right? So one of the things that people have difficulty with is they go on an extreme diet where, you know, they cut all forms of sugar out of their diet, right? They go, oh, no sugar, no salt. I'm gonna cut all of that out of my diet because I got, let's say, high blood pressure or diabetes. So they cut all the sugar and they cut all the salt. And this ends up being a very difficult thing to stick to. Right? The reason why it's so difficult to stick to that is because your body craves the thing that it needs. And you will ultimately capitulate to that craving. Right? One of them. You're either going to capitulate to crunchy, and crunchy often has to be accompanied with salty. Now, crunchy without sweet or salty is like just chewing ice, which some people do. But crunchy is often paired with salty. Right? Even if you cut all of your carbohydrates out of your diet, you can have a fatty diet as long as there's enough salt in it. So something like, for example, a keto or a carnivore diet is like impossible to do without salt because fat without sugar or salt is disgusting. It's not appealing at all to the human taste buds. So when it comes to your diet, the medicinal things are oftentimes bitter. But your entire diet, if you're going to have bitter substances in your diet, like herbal teas or spice teas or something like that, you should also satiate this sugar craving because that's the energy that your body needs. And in order for you to heal from any chronic illness, you need tremendous amounts of energy. So when people go through like steep calorie deficits where like, oh, I'm barely eating, I eat once or twice a day, and all of this type of stuff. The people who I speak to the most who are struggling to lose weight the most typically are only eating like once or twice a day. They very seldom eat 3 meals a day. They often eat 1,200 calories or less per day, right? If it's women. For men, they probably like along the lines of even 12 or 1,500 calories. Chronically under eating. And as a result, the stress doesn't really go away because you're in a prolonged state of energy deprivation. Right? Sugar or glucose is the the primary source of energy. You got to think about it as if like the human body, the sicker you get, the more energy you need. Right? So the deeper you get into a chronic illness, the more energy you need. Right? So you're either in a high vibrational state or a low vibrational state. Right? A high frequency state, a low frequency state. This is why like an alkaline diet, for example, works so well, is because an alkaline diet helps to raise your frequency. Right? So people talk about this kind of thing. It's not like a high vibes, woo-woo kind of thing. It's like a mathematics, scientific thing, right? If your frequency drops too low, you die. Right? Because the thing that's keeping you alive is electricity. Right? And so you got all of this combustion and thermogenesis and whatnot going on in your body. But ultimately, it's just electrical impulses being conducted. Your entire nervous system is electrical. Right? Think of your actual nerves as wires going all up and down your spine and through every fiber of your being. Just nerves everywhere, and they're conducting all types of electrical energy. And in order to facilitate the conduction of that electrical energy, you need minerals, right? So the glucose plus oxygen is the substrate that you need for the combustion. And then the minerals is what you need in order to channel or conduct that electrical energy, right? So the glucose, the oxygen, that's the raw power. And then the minerals, that's like the infrastructure of the entire electrical system. And then you have vitamins and amino acids. And vitamins and amino acids are organic compounds that help to form DNA, right? Along with your minerals. So you have your minerals and they combine with amino acids and vitamins. They come together and they make your cells. And then you have like hormones, which are essentially neurotransmitters that essentially tell your body what to do. Right? So you have all of these neurotransmitters just sending signals back and forth, telling your body to do stuff. And so you have two brains. You have your head brain and your gut brain, and they just speak to each other back and forth, and they just trade messages back and forth, telling your body what to do. Now, the reason why this is important is because more minerals and more vitamins and more of the amino acids is often what you need to recover from chronic illness. Right? So a lot of the times when people are trying to heal from a chronic illness, they're often trying to lose weight. And when you're trying to lose weight, you get into this state where like, oh, well, I was told calories in, calories out, so I should eat less if I want to lose weight. When in actuality, the goal really shouldn't necessarily be to lose weight. The goal should be to heal from chronic illness. So for example, if you're trying to lose 50 to 100 pounds, you may want to prioritize eating more. You may want to go in the opposite direction because you need more of the minerals, vitamins, and amino acids, and you need more of the glucose and oxygen to give your body the power, the energy to actually heal, because healing requires a lot of energy. Healing requires so much energy that your body will shut down your capacity for motivation to get you to stop doing things. Right? So when you feel tired, exhausted, and all fatigued and all of this type of stuff, listen to your body. That's your body telling you to stop and chill out and recover. And your body is going to use all of the energy that it has available in order to get you to heal. Your body already knows what it needs to do. You just have to listen to it. Right? So to heal up, you pretty much need two things. You need an abundance of energy and materials, and then you need rest. And you need to cut as much stress out of your lifestyle as possible. Right? And then also, you have to construct lifestyle habits that are consistent so your body knows what to expect. Right? So if you're constantly changing your eating times and you're constantly changing your bedtime and you're constantly changing what time you get up, and there's all of these changes happening into your life, your body is not able to create the necessary adaptations to facilitate healing. Your body doesn't know what to expect, and the body adapts and changes in anticipation of things. Right? All of it is just a matter of instructions where your body's just like, do this because they keep doing this. Change this because this keeps happening, right? So it's this fusion of proactive and reactive stimuli happening into the body where your body is trying to meet various different needs. So let's talk about the first indicator of like chronic illness. A lot of times it's not but it is often the case. Hypertension, high blood pressure, vascular constriction, right? So people often come to me and they say, hey, I've had high blood pressure for a really long period of time. I'm getting worried about it. I need help. I want to get off of all the medications they have me on, right? And I've been on these medications for years and it's not really helping me get off. What do I do? Now, one of the best things that you can do if you have high blood pressure is to hydrate your body. And typically the way that you hydrate your body is you have more electrolytes, right, in your diet. Right. So like one of the best things that you can do is like eat a grapefruit a day, eat a few pounds of watermelon a day, eat a couple pounds of grapes a day, right? Have a few bananas, 4 to 6 bananas or so. And the reason why I named all fruits is because that'll give you an immediate response. As far as food is concerned, those foods will improve your blood pressure quicker than anything else you can eat. Right? And the reason why is because these foods digest very quickly and your gut, your intestines can extract nutrients from them very quickly. Right? Fruit is mostly made up of water. So when it comes to hydrating your body, well, fruits are going to be at the top of the line to do that. Fruits are often rich in potassium, and potassium is needed in order to have a healthy level of water in your blood, so that you can have adequate levels of blood plasma, right? Hold on 1 second here. So then you've got things like folate, or what some people know as folic acid. It's a B vitamin, very important B vitamin that is needed for healthy functionality of your nervous system and your brain chemistry. A lot of the times people have poor sleep quality, poor blood flow, varicose veins, numbness and tingling, right? The neuropathy, these types of things. Oftentimes it's because they have a folate deficiency, right? Even things like anxiety, depression, folate deficiency. Right? Irregularities in your heart, like heart palpitations, things like that. You probably need more folate in your diet. And folate typically comes in high carbohydrate foods, like most fruits. Then there's vitamin C. Vitamin C is very important for decalcifying your arteries. It's very important for making sure that there's no plaque or stone formation. Right? So I've had people where they've had kidney stones, gallstones, things of this nature. And we significantly boost the amount of fruit in their diet to the point where they're eating like, 6 to 10 pounds of fruit a day. And then their stones go away. This works with any type of gallbladder issues, right? I've had people come to me with kidney disease. They say, well, I'm worried about eating the fruit because the doctors told me to stay away from potassium. Because I shouldn't eat too much potassium. But the fact of the matter is potassium is all relative, right? If you have kidney disease, the last thing you want to do is avoid potassium. Because what you don't want is you don't want dehydration, because that just inflames your kidneys even more. And a lack of potassium will jack up your blood pressure and lead to dehydration, chronic fatigue, headaches, etc. And that's just going to make kidney disease worse. Right? So not good advice. Now, yes, technically, too much potassium could be bad. That is technically true. However, in practice, if you have a diet where you're eating fruits like what I just told you, you're not really going to end up having excess amounts of potassium. It's not really going to work that way because the potassium helps with vasodilation, which also leads to less inflammation in the kidneys. And then you decongest your metabolic system, which improves glucose absorption, uptake, etc., oxygenation of your organs, and all that kind of stuff. So then you get better electrical output and outflows, inflows, etc., going on throughout your nervous system. Kidney disease is essentially a metabolic disorder. It's a metabolic disorder that has gone on for so long that the congestion of your metabolism has chronically inflamed your kidneys to the point where your kidneys just can't keep up with it, right? And I probably shouldn't, that's not even the right way to frame it. Your kidneys aren't chronically inflamed, like the inflammation of the kidneys isn't the problem. It's the actual damage to the kidneys that's the problem, right? That vascular constriction that comes from that high blood pressure, that's one of the things that stresses your kidneys out big time. Right? So you want vasodilation. Those are the conditions that you actually need to reverse kidney disease. You need vasodilation. You need hydration. You need optimal levels of oxygenation of your blood, right? So vitamin C is very important to this process. Vitamin C is actually the most prevalent antioxidant that you'll have in your diet. Right? I mean, you can be getting like a few grams of vitamin C a day in your diet. Right? Vitamin C is a big deal. If you've got sleep deprivation, high blood pressure, chronic headaches, fatigue, all of this type of stuff, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, high blood pressure, you can start to reverse all of these things just by significantly increasing the amount of vitamin C in your diet. One of the key features in fruit, the reason why it helps to reverse type 2 diabetes in the first place, is because of the folate and vitamin C and potassium content, right? So having more of those things in your diet alone helps to reverse insulin resistance. So you can be more insulin sensitive, right? Being more hydrated helps to reverse insulin sensitivity. I mean, it helps to reverse insulin resistance and increase insulin sensitivity. Then there's magnesium. And magnesium is found in small amounts also in all of the fruits that you eat, some larger than others. So for example, bananas are a phenomenal source of magnesium. Right? So when you want to get more magnesium in your diet, banana is a great source of that. Right? But you'll be getting that magnesium through your bananas, your kiwis, cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon. But then we introduce other foods. Almonds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts, cashews, peanuts. These are extremely important sources of zinc, iron, copper, magnesium, and manganese. Going back to the alkaline diet, right? And I say the alkaline diet, but essentially an alkaline diet is a diet that is dominant in alkalizing foods. In order for a food to be alkalizing, it has to have the 5 alkalizing minerals, right? So your potassium, your calcium, your iron, your magnesium, and your manganese, right? Those are the 5. And so with any given meal that you have, when that meal has an abundance of those minerals, and you're constantly eating foods with those minerals, this helps to alkalize your body. And foods that help to alkalize your body take the stress off of your kidneys, because your kidneys, a large part of what your kidneys do is alkalize your body, right? To keep your pH balance from dropping to the point where you die. So your kidneys are responsible for maintaining like that 7.4 on average as far as your pH, right? When you have foods that help to alkalize your body and flush out excess acid, well, then your kidneys don't have to do all the work. Now, the way that your energy system works is it's a loop, right? Acid, alkaline, alkaline, acid, acid, alkaline. Round and round we go, right? It's a cycle. So you get alkaline forming substances. They go through a metabolic process. You get metabolites on the other side. Acids, those acids are either flushed out of the body or converted back into alkalizing sources, materials, etc., right? Round and round and round we go. And so your kidneys will either filter out excess acid or convert acidic products into alkaline forming substances. Right? So that's essentially how that wheel works. So a while back, I spoke about some of the things that your diet should do to reverse any chronic illness. Your diet has to help alkalize your body. Your diet has to hydrate and oxygenate your body. Your diet has to both improve and maintain your gut health, right? And your gut microbiome, your actual intestines, your digestive tract, your stomach lining, all of that, as well as optimize your gut microbiome, right? The actual bacterial makeup of your gut. Those are the most important things that your diet has to do. And of course, your diet has to power all of the processes. One thing that people misunderstand about how the human energy system works is it's this perpetual movement machine. It necessarily has to be, because if your metabolism stops moving, you die. Right? So you have to perpetuate the velocity and the movement of your metabolism. When you have metabolic congestion, this is referred to as chronic illness. Any congestion of your metabolism is an illness, it's a disease, right? So for example, let's say you got hypothyroidism. Essentially, you have a poor conversion of thyroid stimulating hormone into T4, into T3 in order to convert glucose into ATP. There's a hitch in that whole circulation. So that whole hormonal process, there's a hitch somewhere in that process. So when people talk about hypothyroidism, they're referring to often either a low output of T4 from the thyroid. A lot of people don't even have like a hypothyroid per se. They actually have a poor conversion of T4 into T3. Right? So it's actually a liver problem a lot of the time. So people, their thyroid is fine. The problem is the liver. Right? So when you actually do a test, well, you got to be clear where the problem is. Is it an issue in the pituitary gland? Is there a lack of thyroid stimulating hormone being released? Is the thyroid not producing an adequate amount of T4? Or is the T4 not being converted into T3? In you know, what's going on there? Where is the actual problem? Right, so something like taking a blood test is actually good. You know, take a full panel is actually good to see what the deal is. And for most people, the problem is actually the liver. Right, so if you have liver issues, it'll affect everything else. Insulin resistance, a lot of the times, is an issue in the liver. Right, it's insulin resistance in the liver. You're storing too much fat inside your liver, right? Too much ectopic fat inside the liver, right? It could also be too much ectopic fat being stored inside muscle tissue. There's other things too that people don't talk about very much, and they should, right? Excess calcium in the diet. This is the reason why dairy ends up being such a problem for people. Dairy is very rich in calcium. It's also very rich in cholesterol. It's also very rich in galactose, right? Which is a type of sugar prominently found in dairy. right? And then if it's pasteurized, all of the beneficial bacteria that's in it is killed off. So that makes it even less useful. And then essentially, it's just liquid growth hormone. So when you're consuming this dairy, it's a growth hormone. It is going to rapidly proliferate and grow cells, cancer cells and all. Right? Fat cells and all. Most people are lactose intolerant because their gut stopped producing the lactase needed to digest and metabolize the lactose. Then you have caseinoids, and the caseinoids also can be inflammatory and toxic as well, which is a type of protein in dairy. If you're getting excess levels of calcium and then the rest of your diet is deficient in magnesium, this increases the risk of atherosclerotic plaque buildup, the actual hardening of various areas of your vascular system, right? Hardening of arteries and things like that, right? So this can lead to heart issues. This can lead to stones, gallstones, kidney stones, bone spurs, right? Calcification, and calcification anywhere in your body, to be quite honest. Plaque buildup on the brain, etc. And then all of this damage has to be offset by something. Your body tries to offset it sometimes with mucus. But there needs to be something that breaks down this calcification. So this is where you need things like vitamin C and magnesium. You don't really need calcium in high amounts, right? And if you're getting calcium in significant amounts, it has to be paired with vitamin C. Even if you look at leafy green vegetables like spinach, for example, would be high in calcium. It's also a rich source of vitamin C, as well as magnesium. These things are paired together. So you need adequate levels of calcium, vitamin C, and magnesium together in order for you to not develop a pathology like this. Right? So by having more of the fruits in your diet, like grapes, watermelon, grapefruit, you know, any type of citrus fruits or things like that, that helps with the decalcification. That vitamin C helps with the decalcification. And then the potassium helps with the softening of the arteries. And then the beta carotene from things like cantaloupe and grapefruit and things like that helps with the vitamin A, because that beta carotene converts into vitamin A inside your body, and that vitamin A is also used in order to maintain the soft tissues of your organs. Then there's foods like avocado. Avocado is a rich source of omega-3 as well as omega-6, zinc, copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, vitamin K1, beta carotene. It's pretty much got everything. Foods like this is very beneficial for raising your HDL and lowering your LDL. So in terms of cholesterol, some people say, hey, my HDL is kind of low, my LDL is really high. The reason why this is significant is because I don't really focus so much on total cholesterol. What I want to know is your HDL level and LDL. Right? Now, HDL and LDL, there's a zero-sum game between the two. When HDL goes up, LDL comes down. Right? Now, LDL tends to be higher than HDL, but you don't want it to be to the point where HDL is like, 40 or 50, and then LDL is like, 90, 110 or something crazy, right? That implies that there's a lot of cellular damage, there's a lot of oxidative stress. Cholesterol is needed in order to repair and build new cells. So your body will manufacture more cholesterol to facilitate the needs of building new cells and repairing damage throughout the body as a result of excessive levels of oxidative stress. So when we look at things like smoking or drinking alcohol or eating fried foods, and we look at these things, and all of these things are known as being things that increase your cholesterol, and it's like, well, why do they increase your cholesterol? Oh, they just do. Well, no, they increase your cholesterol because your body produces more cholesterol in order to try to offset the damage that these things are doing to your cells. The body is very intelligent in this way. Your body is always trying to defend and protect and maintenance itself. You just have to make it easier for your body to do that. That's really what the key is, right? You won't start healing until you eat more. You won't start healing until you sleep better, right? You won't start healing until you have the energy. You have to have enough energy where your brain gives you the green light. Let's get some more dopamine sensitivity. Dopamine is the brain's reward hormone. So this is where your motivation comes from. When your energy is low, motivation is zapped. Your brain, your body will cut off your capacity to be motivated because you have a lack of energy. If you eat more, you increase the amount of magnesium in your diet, you increase the amount of iron in your diet, you increase the amount of manganese in your diet, you eat more carbs, right? You get more of that potassium, you stay hydrated, and then you go to bed at a decent time. This turns on dopamine sensitivity. If you've been dealing with depression and anxiety and all of this kind of stuff, you won't be able to get out of that until you eat your way out. So if you want to be motivated, if you want to feel better, if you want to think clearer and all of that kind of stuff, you have to raise your energy levels. So you can't be up 1, 2 o'clock at night scrolling through your phone and then getting up the next day at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Right? You can't just keep cutting your food intake until there's nothing left. Because you'll just get more tired and more tired and more tired. And so if you're cutting, reducing your food intake constantly and then going to the gym and doing more and more cardio, you're just going to deplete yourself as a result. It doesn't matter how much body fat you currently have on you. Do you have the electrical energy? Do you have the water content? Do you have the vitamin and mineral content needed in order to be able to tap into that fat to use it for stored energy? That's the question. Right? You'll starve your way in deeper. You have to eat your way out. By the way, folks, hit the like button if you find this information valuable. Drop kick the, smash the like button. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for a high raw vegan diet in the fall and winter seasons. We're going to talk about food selection. All right. In the fall and winter seasons here, it'd be a good idea to wake up first thing in the morning and let's say an hour, when you wake up first thing in the morning and you have, let's say, moringa tea. As a matter of fact, here's the playbook. I'm be real generous with this one. And Donann, if you're still up, Judy, are you still in here? This is important to know, all right? 1 teaspoon of black seed oil with squeezed key lime. You put that in a spoon and straight down the hatch, right? Drink that down. 1 teaspoon. First thing in the morning. You follow that up with 8 ounces of moringa tea. If you're doing moringa powder, do 2 grams of moringa powder. So that'd be a half a teaspoon of moringa powder and 8 ounces of hot water for tea. And you drink that down after the black seed. Right? You do your daily mobility exercises, your stretching, things like that, your deep breathing exercises, and then an hour after you originally got out of bed, you have your first meal. A beautiful first meal can be 8 ounces of coconut yogurt with two cups of blueberries and 2 cups of strawberries. Okay, and then you can have a quarter cup of crushed walnuts or 2 tablespoons of chia seeds with that. And you can kind of just mix all of that in there. If you've got any type of gut health issues, that's a great first way to start your day. If you've got candida overgrowth or buildup in your gut, or you got some type of fungal or bacterial infection in your gut or something like that, you'd want to do that. Right? You need something antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. Black seed oil actually meets that description. And then the coconut yogurt with the berries and all of that kind of stuff is also very important for improving your digestive tract health and your gut microbiome, right? That's both pro and prebiotic rich foods that you could be implementing on a daily basis, right? If you got any kind of gut health disorders. Second meal could be a few pounds of grapes or 3 to 4 apples, right? What's also in season now? 4 to 6 bananas, 4 pears, 6 peaches, right? Something along those lines, depending on where you are and what's in season. And that would be like a good second meal, just a fruit bowl. If you're diabetic, you're worried about blood sugar control, pair leafy greens with the fruit bowl. All right. And don't put these in a juicer. Just eat it straight up. Right? But you can do, let's say, 4 cups of raw baby spinach along with the fruit. And the greens will help with blood sugar control. Another meal after that can be a pound of sweet potato with 2 cups of split pea or red lentil soup. And the red lentil soup should be seasoned with medicinal herbs and spices, whether it be your oregano, your basil, parsley, turmeric, ginger, onion, pepper, white pepper, black pepper, cayenne pepper, things like that, chili powder, cumin, things like that, right? And then you can have mustard greens in there or whatever the case is. If you've got a thyroid issue, you can put some nori in there or some type of seaweed in there, right, in the soup for a little more iodine in your diet, right? If you have an iodine deficiency. You can have tea with a meal like that. And that could be ginger, turmeric tea, where you do 1 gram of ginger, 1 gram of turmeric, 8 ounces of hot water, right? And if you've got respiratory issues, you may want to put a pinch or 2 of cayenne pepper in there, right? So if you've been coughing up a lot of mucus or you're having difficulty breathing or whatever the case is, that would be a good idea to do that. I wouldn't recommend you do that if you got heartburn issues, right? If you got heartburn issues, you don't really want anything too spicy like that. So that would be like a good 3-meal day, for example, would be a full day of eating. And eating like that could really help to reverse really any kind of chronic health issue you have. Now, the meals will change and the strategy will change depending on what issues you're dealing with, right? So I wouldn't recommend black seed oil for certain people. Let's say certain people, they have an inflamed esophagus. I probably wouldn't recommend black seed oil for that, right? However, black seed oil could be very good for somebody who has, let's say, H. pylori, right? Or candida. If it's a fully raw vegan diet, that'd be a different story. So with a fully raw vegan diet, this would be just straight up fruits, leafy greens, nuts, and seeds. Ideally, you would do this in the spring and summer when all of your tropical fruits are in season. Your melons, your mangoes, and all of that kind of stuff. Right? That's when you could do your chia pudding with a pound of strawberries. Right? That's a great first meal. Chia pudding with a pound of strawberries and like 2 to 3 bananas. And you could put like 1 to 2 grams of Ceylon cinnamon in there with a pinch of nutmeg. Phenomenal meal. Right? That's when you can juice 16 to 20 ounces of cucumber water. Right? Or juice a grapefruit and a Granny Smith apple. That's very good too, by the way, if you've got blood pressure issues or cholesterol issues. Right? If you've got, let's say, varicose veins or something like that, really high blood pressure, juicing beets, carrot, and apple. Very good idea to do, right? You'll get immediate results out of doing something like that. If you're dealing with chronic anxiety and depression, a great first meal would be something like 3 pounds of watermelon. Right? 4 to 6 bananas. And then after that, 1 cup of roasted almonds. So the almonds, people sleep on almonds. Almonds are phenomenal. Right? And something like almonds are very rich in not just manganese and magnesium and iron and copper, but zinc, and zinc, as well as vitamin E, are pretty abundant in almonds. Almonds are a great source of zinc and vitamin E. And zinc and vitamin E directly fortify your immune system. They protect you from viral replication. Right? So in order to protect yourself from bacterial infections, viruses, things like that, having an abundance of zinc and vitamin E in your diet is a big deal. The chia seeds, the almonds, the walnuts, the pumpkin seed kernels, these are a really big deal for fortifying your immune system. So if you're getting sick a lot, right, you're like, I don't know what's going on, I'm just getting sick, I always got sniffles and coughs and this and that, and I feel exhausted, I'm getting sick from this and that, you may want to implement more of those things in your diet. That's number one. And you may want to have more of that moringa tea, soursop tea, turmeric tea, ginger tea, hibiscus tea, things of this nature, right? Clove. Those teas are a big deal. When you have those teas in combination with a solid diet plan, this is how you energize and defend your body. And that's what needs to happen in order for healing to take place. It is impossible for healing to take place without that. Let me catch up with some of y'all in these comments here. Kale also has zinc. That is correct. Your leafy greens typically do. Hey Noir, I've been binge watching your videos for the past couple months and it's helping me out a bunch. I'm 27 and have been plant-based since July and feel amazing. Thanks for the wisdom, brother. Much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. Ronald, what's going on? Good to see you in here. What about autoimmune disease? Let's talk about it. The same thing applies to autoimmune disease as well. For autoimmune disease, essentially, we got to talk about the inflammation escalation ladder. I've been talking about this for years. Autoimmune disorders happen when you're chronically inflamed, right? It's like a neurosis of the immune system, right? Your body is paranoid because it's always fighting. It's just this reactivation of the same pathways over and over and over again, right? And if you do this enough, if you, let's say on the inflammation escalation ladder, you've got green, yellow, orange, red. If you spend enough time in between the orange and the red, this is a recipe to develop an autoimmune disorder. Now, autoimmune disease is not permanent. That can be reversed. I've had people reverse lupus. I've had people reverse Guillain-Barré. Right? I've had people reverse Hashimoto's. So it's not this thing where it's like permanent, right? I've had people reverse colitis. It's not permanent. But what you need to do is you got to bring down the temperature. So you got to come out of the red and come out of the orange and come out of the yellow and get into the green. And then get comfortable staying there. So you dial down the temperature on your immune system a bit. So when your body is not constantly fighting all the time, you can deactivate certain pathways and genetic expressions. So even if you're genetically prone to a specific illness, it doesn't mean you're going to have that specific illness. It just means that if certain conditions are met, that illness will be expressed. Right? So certain people are prone to certain types of cancer or illnesses, right? Other illnesses. Certain people could be more prone to heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease, colon cancer, whatever the case is. But there has to be the necessary conditions that are met in order for those illnesses to manifest. So even if you're predisposed to getting a certain pathology, does not necessarily mean that you're guaranteed to get it. And it doesn't mean that it's permanent either. So that's when those teas become really important, like the ones that I mentioned. I'm drinking matcha tea actually right now. Speaking of matcha tea, matcha is a type of green tea that's very beneficial for reversing obesity. Obesity is a chronic illness. Obesity doesn't come from eating too many calories. It's not what obesity comes from, right? It doesn't really matter how much you eat. Right? Like if you overeat, you could gain an extra 5-10 pounds. But overeating is not going to get you like an extra 20-30 pounds or whatever of weight gain, just fat. It's not going to happen. And the reason why is because remember your metabolic system is this wheel. The more you eat, the faster it gets. And the faster it gets, the more thermogenesis it produces. The more thermogenesis it produces, the more calories you burn. Right? So eating more just leads to more caloric burn. This is what happens. I've even experimented with this myself where I monitor my own caloric burn. And when I eat more, I just burn more calories. Right? So at best, I can get back up to like 14% body fat. Can't get above it though. Now, obesity comes from eating too much of the wrong things. The reason why people think that losing weight comes from eating less is because they're just engaging in less food poisoning. Right? Now, eating less could be beneficial, but it depends. If you're gonna eat less, you should do it in a tighter eating window, because eating less simply constricts the amount of free glucose available for your body to use as a form of energy, which means that in the absence of available glucose to use for energy, your body will tap into stored fat for energy. Now, that's not going to happen from a caloric deficit. It happens from a tighter eating window. There's a difference, right? Because there's a glucose deficit, is a blood sugar deficit. But the thing is, if you're already chronically fatigued, that's a bad idea. If you're already you're just not motivated, you don't sleep well, you're fatigued all the time, then it's not a good idea to be cutting away and limiting the amount of food you eat. That's actually a bad idea, right? Because you're not going to starve your way out of obesity. It doesn't work that way, because the body is not really thermogenic as much as it is chemical and hormonal, right? And in fact, obesity predominantly just comes from stress. It's a defense mechanism. There is a term, it's called austerity. It's more of a political term. In times of economic hardship, your government will decide, hey, we need to cut government spending. So public programs, public schools, social security, healthcare, infrastructure, we're going to tighten up our belts, right? The government's got to spend less money. That's called austerity. It doesn't work. It doesn't work economically. It doesn't work politically. It doesn't work biologically. It doesn't work. And we know it doesn't work because what do the wealthy do? They don't get themselves out of economic precarious positions by cutting spending. They borrow. They got to get some type of liquidity from somewhere else, right? How does this work in the human body? Well, if you engage in austerity of the human body, where you deplete the amount of resources coming into your body, then guess what your body's going to do? It's going to reduce energy expenditure. A reduce in energy expenditure looks like fat accumulation. You work out less, you skip days in the gym, you wake up late, you don't feel energized. And why would you feel energized? You have a lack of energy, a lack of food, a lack of sleep, a lack of everything. Therefore, you're going to lose your motivation, and this is a way of keeping you from engaging in activities where you're going to be expending a bunch of energy. And your body's going to hoard fat, right, as a means of, having a cushion, right? It's like a form of energy liquidity. Now, where does that stored fat come from? Well, muscle mass is very expensive. Muscle mass requires a lot of energy to retain. So in the absence of an abundance of energy, guess what your body's going to do with muscle mass? Cut. It's too expensive to keep all that muscle. It's not expensive at all to keep fat, though. Your body can store fat real cheaply. Muscle mass, it's very energy intensive to be able to maintain muscle mass, right? So you'll actually have a steeper decline in muscle mass and more storage of fat mass. This is why you can't just perpetually cut your way out of obesity. It doesn't work. You might lose some fat, but you'll lose more muscle mass. You'll lose more energy. You'll just get worse. Your insulin resistance will increase. Your blood pressure will increase. Your sleep quality will decrease. Then you just put yourself at more risk for bone loss, fractures, etc. You get more joint pain, right? More chronic illnesses. That would happen. To the point where then you're 50, 60, 70 years old and you're just always tired and just don't sleep well, right? You have to eat your way out. And you have to eat your way out for long enough where your body feels comfortable letting go of stored fat and putting on muscle mass, because your body doesn't feel like it's in danger. Where you store fat like camel humps on a camel stores, like, you know, water or whatever, right? You get these fatty deposits where your body has to desperately hold on and hoard energy wherever it can, and very reluctantly tap into that stored energy. Right? Look at it as a pay increase. Imagine if your job was to give you a 20% raise tomorrow. What would that do to your spending habits? 20% raise in your paychecks the rest of the year, just in perpetually 20% increase. The more money you make, the more money you spend. In the same way, the more food you eat, the more calories you burn. When your body has an abundance of resources, it's going to use those resources to improve its infrastructure. Your body works almost like a colony, like a civilization, right? Your body's going to grow more hair, it's going to grow thicker eyebrows, it's going to grow more muscle mass, it's going to repair the quality of your skin. Your skin is going to look more vibrant, your eyes are going to look lighter, more vibrant. Right? You're going to want to do stuff. You're going to want to travel. You're going to want to work out. You're just going to want to do more things. You're going to want to live a more rich life, because it changes your brain chemistry when you have an abundance of resources that your body can use to live a more full life. That's what happens when you eat more. And it happens very subtly. You don't even really realize it's happening. You just go, oh, I slept really good. And you know when you slept really good because you feel it. You wake up the next morning, you're like, wow, I slept hard. Right? Like you woke up like, it feels like you were just born, right? You wake up from like real deep sleep. You wake up, you're like, oh my God, what is happening? What day is it? What year? Right? You wake up like, wow. You wake up not even remembering that you even went to sleep the night before. Right? That's what good sleep feel like. You go to sleep early and you wake up and you feel like you want to do more stuff. I'm telling you. And anybody who's ever been on the plan, and you're like, yeah, I just feel good. I feel happier. I feel more confident. I feel more motivated. You just feel different. If obesity is an illness, then how is it that having an abundance of vitamins and minerals and energy going to make you more obese? Think about it. That doesn't logically make sense. How is giving your body more resources and more fuel going to make it sicker? It's not possible. It doesn't make sense. Now, there are some caveats, right? So one of the caveats would be if you're taking a medication that is disrupting your metabolism, that's a different story. So for example, steroids, they make you more insulin resistant, right? Hydrochlorothiazide, it makes you more insulin resistant, right? Statins, they make you more insulin resistant. Beta blockers, right? Now imagine if you're on multiple forms of medications that make you more insulin resistant. And you know what I'm talking about, because if you were on a medication and you've been gaining weight ever since you started taking that medication, it's because it's making you more insulin resistant. That's why. So people, I started taking this medication, I've just been gaining weight, I don't know what's going on. Ever since I started taking this medication, I've been gaining weight. Anxiety medication, depression medication, gaining weight. High blood pressure medication, gaining weight. Cholesterol medication, just gaining weight. I had people, they're like, I started taking this cholesterol medication. I want to get off of it because my joints are hurting. I'm having joint pain. If you've ever been on cholesterol medications, you know what I'm talking about. I feel stiff, my joints hurt. Yeah, because you're messing with the metabolic process of cholesterol formation that's happening in your body. Your body is making that cholesterol for a reason. That's what it's supposed to do. You're not supposed to mess with that. You're not supposed to prevent your body from making the cholesterol. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be taking a medication that's just activating your pancreas and release a bunch of insulin. Your body's not supposed, you're not supposed to do that. If your pancreas works, you're not supposed to do that. It's working the way that it should. You can't use medication to fix a dietary problem. And if you try to use medication to fix a dietary problem, you're just going to have worse problems. And then eventually you end up on dialysis. Right? So you have to understand fundamentally how to fix a certain problem. Right? If you've got high cholesterol, you want to reduce the amount of oxidative stress on your body. Your body will respond to the reduction in that stress by adjusting and correcting your cholesterol levels to what they're supposed to be. Right? And you'll see this too, like as people get older, their cholesterol increases. It's because your body wants to protect you more as you get older. So it needs to have higher levels of cholesterol in order to do that, because that cholesterol is used to build new cells. And so when you get older, you become more vulnerable and your joints and whatnot become more damaged. You know, just literally joint injuries can increase your cholesterol. Right? So you tear a tendon or something like that, you snap a bone or whatever the case is, that'll jack up your cholesterol. You have heart complications or anything like that, that'll jack up your cholesterol. Your body is doing that on purpose. That's what it's supposed to do. Right? You don't want to try to prevent your body from doing what it's supposed to do. Same if you're insulin resistant because the stress is causing that response. But you become insulin sensitive by eating more carbs. The point of being insulin sensitive is so that your body gets better at using glucose for energy. That's the point of being insulin sensitive. But if you're going to have a fatty diet loaded up with all types of saturated fat, then your body's going to shut off the insulin sensitivity and it's going to turn on the insulin resistance because your body's going to lean more into a fat metabolism and it's going to go into fat storage mode because your body can store fat quicker than it burns it. Fat don't burn real quick. Fatty diets are designed for specific climates. So for example, cold climates where there's a lack of food implies a fatty diet and less frequent eating. That's how your body responds to dietary fat. So if you're eating a lot of fat in your diet, well, then I guess you're not really eating that frequently because there's a shortage of food and the only thing that's really left are fats, particularly like animal fats. Right? This is why you got like bears that hibernate and all of that type of stuff. And you have carnivores that only eat once a day and they sleep all day. If any of you have a cat, you know what I'm talking about, right? Cats just lounge around all day. They're not eating all day. And if you have a cat that has an abundance of food all the time, then guess what? Your cat's going to get fat. So your cat will get diabetic. They're not supposed to have just a continuous stream of food all the time. Human beings aren't really geared for that, right? That's an austerity diet. It can work. It didn't work for very long, but it can work. Because the trade-off is it shaves off years of your life. That's essentially what happens, right? Carnivores don't live that long, right? Inuits don't live that long. But if you have a more carbohydrate-rich diet, chances are it's because you live closer to the equator and you have more access to carbohydrates. So to compensate for the increase in carbohydrates and more frequent eating, your body will develop more insulin sensitivity. It's just an environmental mechanism that your body responds to. It's supposed to do that. So when you want to improve your insulin sensitivity, you just eat more carbs and just eat more meals per day. Right? 3 or 4 is fine. And your body will become more insulin sensitive over time as you do that. Your body will adapt. Right? The only caveat is if the insulin resistance is a result of a fatty liver, where you just have such an accumulation of fat in your liver to the point where, like, yeah, you got to really burn through that first. That's where some form of fasting may be a good idea, but it depends on where you're starting from. So if you're having all types of health problems and you barely eat, you need to increase the amount of food that you eat. If you have all kind of health problems and you're eating like crazy, well, then it would be a good idea to actually fast, or maybe do like a 1 meal a day strategy or something like that. But you have to do something that is very opposite of what you've been doing. Right? Let me check back in with y'all in these comments. Hold on. All right. How do you reverse histamine issues? Typically, the way that works is you can either supplement with some form of probiotic or eat more probiotic-rich foods, followed with more prebiotic-rich foods. And as your gut microbiome improves, essentially what happens is your probiotic bacteria in your gut creates more postbiotics, right, which are a form of enzymes and chemicals that they create and they excrete and they make their way up the chain to your digestive tract. And your body adapts by regulating the histamines, because your gut is supposed to produce this on your own. But if you have a substantial amount of gut damage, like let's say from antibiotics or something like that, then that's where you could have histamine issues. Right? I used to have allergies. Right? So any type of pollen or anything like that was detrimental to me. It would shut my eyes. My eyes would swell up like I got punched in both my eyes individually. Right? I would get crazy. I would get pain all up in my nasal passage, in my gums. My teeth would hurt. My eyes would be all watery and crusty. It was brutal. Right? And it got really bad, especially too when I moved to Georgia. And the pollen was heavy out there. And it was debilitating. Went plant-based, never had seasonal allergies ever since. Now, I used to be allergic to cats, dogs, dust, pollen. I mean, anything really, right? Now, none of that. Let's see. I'm drinking black tea tonight, but I have to buy more green tea. I like the way green tea keeps my weight down. Yeah, green tea, it works. When I got to 6% body fat, I was crushing green tea. Yo, Cali girl, let me tell you something. You was cutting into that mango on Instagram. I was like, yo, I'm jealous. That mango looked right. I'm jealous. I got burnt a couple times with my experiences with mangoes. I was like, oh, this is offensive. You cut through that mango and it looked like the knife just went straight through, smooth. I'm like, you see, that's how it's supposed to look when you cut into a mango. Remsen is so knowledgeable, it's crazy. Yeah, look, 30 minutes of research a day, that'll do it. By the way, folks, if you haven't hit the like button if you like the stream. Like the stream if you like the stream. Right? Share this with friends and family. Like and subscribe. All that good stuff. Is there a natural way to get off dialysis? It's possible. It depends. So, for example, you usually can't, generally speaking, you can't gain functionality of an organ that is no longer working. Because you can't build something from nothing, right? So if the organ is too damaged to then regain functionality, that's different. However, I wouldn't say that it's impossible. It'd be hard, it'd be difficult, there's no guarantees, right? but it could be possible to regain functionality. But there has to be something left there for your body to make copies of, right? Potassium, even in giant quantities from bananas or fruit, has zero side effects. It's the potassium supplement which can cause an overload of potassium. I saw a study on PubMed about it. Yep. That's why I say when it comes to fruit, it's not really possible to actually overload your body on potassium. I've heard people lose lots of weight on a water fast. Yeah, I mean, you can lose weight on a water fast. It's definitely possible. But what happens when you come off the fast? That's the question. What do you do? How does your body respond when you come off the fast? That's the thing you got to think about, right? So is there going to be blowback? Because you can do it, it can work, but it depends. What do you start back eating and how much do you start back eating? That's the question. Because your body makes adaptations where it will down-regulate your metabolism while you're fasting. And the deeper into a fast you get, the more your body will preserve energy, even from fat mass, right? So it depends on how long you do it for. I think I'm a fan of like rolling fasts. So for example, you fast for 3 days and you eat for 4. It's a good strategy. But the caveat is you can't. That's not really like anybody can just do this and it'll work for everybody. It's not really true. Because if a person is already chronically fatigued and exhausted all the time, they don't sleep well, they got all of these problems. Well, you have to be well fed first, right? So the rolling fast is a great way to lose weight, but you still have to be well fed. You still have to be able to provide adequate levels of the vitamins and minerals and amino acids that your body needs in order to maintain homeostasis and a high quality of life. There's no magic bullets. So you can force your body to lose weight. It is possible. And something like a rolling fast is very effective, right? But you can't do it forever. I like that. Houston, Texas by way of California. Hi, sir, from the Philippines. Building muscle, plant-based health, and longevity. I love your channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. Big shout out to you from the Philippines. Do you think the Durian Rider team era failed because they were neglecting the nuts and seeds part? Yeah, I think it's, raw vegans, right? I think that, if you're going to be a raw vegan, I think it's important to eat seasonally. I'm a big fan of that. And I also think that the nuts and seeds, they're not bad foods. They're very important for your health. I mean, I think if you're a raw vegan, then yeah, if you're not going to be eating legumes and you're not going to be eating whole grains, then yeah, the nuts have to be in the diet. Now, in certain circumstances, you can get away with just eating fruit and just fruit only. That works for a lot of people, but it's not a magic bullet, right? You do have to add in the nuts and seeds. I think just as a safety precaution, it's a good idea if you're going to do it long term. So I know for me, for example, if I do a raw vegan diet, my fats will probably be a lot higher most of the time, especially if I'm trying to build muscle. Right, because the nuts and seeds, that's a very important part, especially getting like essential fatty acids like omega-6 and even omega-3. Now the omega-3s, you're going to get more of that from your leafy greens, and people fearmonger about omega-6 essential fatty acids, but omega-6 essential fatty acids are an antioxidant. Omega-6 essential fatty acids, first of all, your omega-6 content is always going to be way higher than your omega-3 content in your diet. But omega-6 essential fatty acids are important for skin health, hair growth, eye functionality, brain chemistry, reproductive functionality, testosterone production, hell, estrogen and progesterone production, right? So that's even necessary. I mean, even polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats even help to reverse insulin sensitivity and improve your blood pressure and improve your cholesterol, raise your HDL, reduce your LDL, all of this type of stuff. So, you know, the nuts and seeds are a big deal. So I don't think that, you know, oh, you should just be straight fruitarian, you don't touch anything that's not a fruit. I think that's probably a little on the extreme side, right? I don't think that's entirely necessary. It depends on the strategy. You can do it over a point in time. Some people, they can do it all year. I guess maybe they eat enough where they can get away with it. But I don't know if I would suggest that like straight across the board, right? So my main thing is risk management and harm reduction. So you don't want to take so much risk and bet on something as if it were a magic bullet, right? What are my thoughts concerning wild caught fish? You know what? Wild caught fish could be a viable option a few hundred years ago. I wouldn't do it. First of all, I wouldn't do it because I'm ethically vegan. But if I weren't ethically vegan, my whole thing would be, you eat whatever the fish eats. So whatever plastic molecules and aluminum molecules and parasites, whatever they're taking in, you're eating that too. Right? Whatever radiation they're taking in from Fukushima or whatever the case is, you're taking that in too. Right? So environmental contamination accumulation is a risk that you take eating fish. And I'm not entirely okay with that. So it depends, right? Like if you're going to eat fish, well, what are you eating it for? Right? You don't need a lot of protein in your diet. You really don't. I mean, if you think about it, your average man has what, 21 kilograms of of skeletal muscle on them. 40% of your lean mass is like skeletal muscle. So when it comes to protein, people are really talking about branched chain amino acids like valine, leucine, and isoleucine. Right? But when it comes to a plant-based diet, especially like a raw vegan diet, you have simple amino acids rather than compound, complex proteins, right? So you have simple amino acid structures and compound, complex amino acid structures. So when you look at a nutritional label and you see protein, they're really just talking about complex amino acid structures, right? But when you're eating a variety of foods and you're eating more frequently, well, then you accumulate all of the amino acids. When you eat protein, your body's just going to break down those proteins anyway into simpler amino acid structures anyway, right? But when you consume a lot of protein, essentially, you're just giving your kidneys more work, right? So you have a high protein diet, just understand that's going to require a lot of work for your kidneys because amino acids, generally speaking, are inherently acidic. They're acid forming, which means that those amino acids need to be paired with those 5 alkalizing minerals in order to maintain a healthy pH balance. And if you have a shortage of those alkalizing minerals, well, then your kidneys are going to have to do a lot more work, right? And this is, you know, when people, let's say if somebody has kidney disease, there is scientific data that shows that just diminishing protein intake by 10% improves kidney health. So when you see like your creatinine and your BUN levels and your albumin and all of that type of stuff, those are all directly correlated to acid and protein consumption and protein metabolites and creatine metabolism, right? So that refers to the metabolites and byproducts of the metabolic process. So the more protein you consume, you run the risk of elevating those numbers, especially if you have any form of kidney disease. Right? So that's where the minerals come into play. Calcium is important. You don't need a whole lot of it. The only time you need more calcium is if you're trying to offset a very acidic diet. Calcium is used as a buffer against acid, right? So is magnesium. So is potassium. But calcium is typically like the first one, and that gets leached from your bones if there is a deficiency in the other alkalizing minerals like manganese, magnesium, things like that. Interestingly enough, you can tell that chances are you have a magnesium deficiency if you have a lot of joint pain. So increasing the amount of magnesium and manganese in your diet will literally reduce your joint pain. I used to have a lot of joint pain. And I'm talking shoulders, elbows, wrists, neck, knees, everything like that. And I increased the amount of magnesium and manganese in my diet, and I don't have no joint pain. I used to have my back and all types of stuff. I thought I like herniated a bunch of discs and everything like that. I was terrified. I was like, oh no, I messed my back up lifting all this heavy weight and whatnot. I feel terrible. My joints hurt. I was wearing wrist wraps to work out and all kind of stuff. Knee sleeves. Now, it's an entirely different story. Right? I incidentally eat a lot of protein, but it's incidental. It's not deliberately done. So that's pretty much the deal with that. But even with my protein consumption now, I mean, the highest I'll probably get to is around 120, maybe 130. But yeah, but that's because I'm eating definitely, you know, more legumes and things like that in this season, right? So can I do avocado every day, doing 100% raw vegan to build and keep lean mass? Avocado a day is actually a very good dietary habit. I would say if you're doing a raw vegan diet, you should eat an avocado a day. Some men, you should eat 2 avocados a day. If you're trying to raise your testosterone level, I think avocado, walnuts, almonds, any type of nuts is a very good idea. Eat nuts for your nuts. Dedicated for life, what's going on? Good to see you in here. Yes, ma'am. Would the omega-6 cause more inflammation? No. No, it would not. It was mango for life, true. How do I set up my new member call? John Green, what's going on? Hit me in the DMs. Well, and I'll drop it. Matter of fact, I can do this now. Hold on. Matter of fact, you should be able to, because there's a link in the Discord. So in the Discord, in the member Discord, there is under courses and member benefits, there is a section that says book a call, right? So what I'll do here is I'll tag you in that thread. I don't know what your username is though. You got to tell me what your username is in the Discord too, so I can tag you. But you can also send me a DM in the Discord as well. And I'll tag you in it, so you can set up that call. By the way, I put a link in the description to book a call with me. So if you need help with any of your, you know, health and wellness goals, you need a diet or training plan, or diet and training plan, there's a link in the description to set up a call with me, right? So we got a full 60 minutes, so an hour-long call. We talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if you want, I can also record the call and then send you a copy of the call, right? And you can download it and save it and refer back to it and whatnot as well, right? 55 Joe Green. All right. So I'm gonna look you up in here. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna have to do this off stream and find you in here. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. I see you in here now. So I'm gonna message you actually. Hold on. See tribe members, y'all can just tune into the stream here. By the way, should I if y'all want to, if it's any tribe members in here, you want to jump on the voice chat, and we can probably do that for a little bit as well if y'all have any questions that you want to chat. All right, hold on. I'm gonna send you this link. I don't want to do that right now. Call. All right, so I just DM'd you the link there. So you should be all set. Oh yeah, we can have a, so basically D, that's the thing. They're not gonna understand. I don't even think most doctors don't even realize that chronic pain will raise your blood sugar. Right. So I think that, and with your current diet plan, your numbers will start to normalize once your body gets used to eating more. So I wouldn't particularly worry about that too. Especially when we see the discrepancy between your blood sugar and your A1C, right? So the A1C is not really an accurate description of what you're going through, right? Because of discrepancy between your blood sugar. Your blood sugar normally is not really high. In fact, your blood sugar is only really high in bouts of extreme pain from the accident. So your diet is going to be used as leverage in order to manage that pain, right? So this is why, like, I made it, I made your plan where we put like more turmeric in it and things like that. To help manage that, to help reduce that stress and improve sleep quality. I think the other thing that compounded it too, when you were doing like the 20 and 24-hour fasts and things like that, right? And I know them fasts are pretty rough on you, right? So when you start eating more normally, that should help to kind of get your body to relax a little bit. Let's see, I'm 56 years old. Is a 48-hour... That little heart button is blocking the comment. Oh, I'm 56 years old. Is 48-hour water fast beneficial? It could be. It depends on what you're trying to do, and it depends on your current circumstances, right? So I would have to talk to you a little bit more to know about that, right? Like, how much have you been eating? Because if you've been under eating, then no, probably not. You need to eat more. Right, and then it depends on what your goal is. So there's a lot of things that would factor into determining whether or not it's a good idea to do or not. All right. But if anybody wants to jump into the voice chat on the Discord, I'm gonna jump in there right quick. All right. But yeah, we covered a lot tonight. So this was a good one. I think this was a productive conversation. And my tea is finished. Oh, I see you in there. Cool. So we're all set for Thursday. Here we go. All right. So who we got in here? D, what's going on? All right, hold on. Let me get to you in here. All right, D, talk to me. Oh, hold on one second. I can hear you, but I don't think you're coming through in the voice chat here. So wait a minute, I don't think I see you. I may need to play with my sound setting here. Matter of fact, I'm curious too. Can y'all hear her in the Yeah, so this was matcha tea. Oh, did you leave? Oh no, you didn't. You didn't hear. So I think what I'm gonna have. Somebody popped in the Discord and then popped back off. All right. So let me just, because I got to do a little routing thing. Say something to me right quick. I just want to see what channel you're popping up on. Okay, got you. No, that's it. So I'm just going to change my sound setting a little bit. So. Okay, so now the chat should be able to hear you.
Okay.
Ah, there we go. Now y'all can hear her. All right, so what's going on, D? How you doing?
I'm doing a little bit better. I did my walking today, so I
Got
also
you.
I ordered the black seed oil and got it this evening. So
Oh, that was quick. Look at that. That was same day delivery.
yeah, it was same day delivery.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I got that, and I've been doing okay. I'm just concerned about my blood sugars. I guess now that I'm stressed out about it, it's gonna stay high till I can calm down about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the black seed will definitely help with that issue. And then also the
Okay.
teas and the diet plan. I mean, you just, you get
Mhm.
progressively better over time. You know what
Okay.
I mean? I see John just jumped into the voice chat as well. What's going on? How you doing in here? Oh, but John, you're muted, so you got to unmute if you wanna chat.
Yeah, I didn't want to make loud background noise.
Oh, okay, got you. All right. Well, yeah. What's going on? What did you want to ask or chat or share on the stream?
Oh no, I was just letting you know, man. I finally got all my elastic bands. I got the creatine. I got the magnesium. Everything finally came in. So nothing else to do but just to do it, man.
There you go. Which training plan are you starting with?
Man, I don't know. I was just gonna randomly pick one. I was gonna start tomorrow. I'm
Got
more.
well. Are you
I'm more. The training plan does. Mhm.
are you training in the gym or at home?
No, at home with the resistance bands.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So that'd be the Tribe Flex program then.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more worried about my diet. I want to kind of manipulate and understand how to play with my macros and my fats and stuff to kind of get where I really want to be. Working out, that's not a big deal, but man, the discipline of the diet is everything.
Gotcha. Well, yeah. That's where you got to satisfy your food cravings, right? And then
Oh
have
yeah.
enough variety in there. So, real quick? What is your height and weight?
I'm 6 foot tall, 220.
All right, 6 foot 220. What is your body fat percentage? Do you know?
I don't know what my body fat percentage is, but I'm naturally very muscular and lean. So even though I might be considered on the BMI on the heavier side, I don't. For whatever reason, my body does not. Everybody thinks I work out every day, and I hadn't worked out in a few years.
How many of your abs show?
4.
Four. Okay. So
Yeah.
if four of your abs show, you could be anywhere between 12 and 14% body fat,
Okay.
right? So at that point, you may want to get to a solid 200 pounds,
Yeah.
right?
But I need to
And so,
know how to do that, right? Because you know how some people, they go all fruit and man, they plummet. They'll lose 30 pounds in a month. Just wanting to, when I set up the call, just kind of wanting to understand how to manipulate that weight and eat right.
gotcha. Okay, yeah, well, we'll definitely get into that because it depends on how many times you train too. I think if you're doing the Tribe Flex plan, I think that's like 3 training days a week.
Hmm.
Generally speaking, your carbs shouldn't be below 300 grams, right? So you're probably going to be closer to like 330 on non-training days and perhaps 4 and change on training days,
Mm. Okay.
right? So that would be pretty much the deal there. If you're going to do a fully raw eating plan, you're probably going to be eating around 2,600 calories a day, maybe even more than that. It could be 27, 28. I think it'll probably be closer to 3,000 on training days, and then maybe like around 2,600 or so on non-training days.
I think the fully raw is for me right now. I don't know. I like my lentils.
Oh, okay,
Hmm.
yeah. If you're gonna do high raw and you're doing the lentils, and naturally your protein and your carbohydrates are gonna be a lot higher, and your dietary fats. Your dietary fats are probably going to be somewhere in between, I want to say, 45 and 60 grams of protein a day.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not
Yeah.
bad.
Pat, what's going on? How you doing?
Good, actually. I'm having a good week. So it's been a good solid 8 days where I've been like 100% healthy food choices. So I'm really happy and proud about that.
There we go. Yeah, you've been
Yeah.
making some progress.
Yeah. So and my blood pressure is still declining too, which is great too. I'm happy to see that. So yeah.
Okay.
So my lower number is like consistently below 80, so which is good.
Oh, good.
And that top number is averaging between the highest I think it's been like 132. Um, so it's coming down.
There we go. Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that blood pressure, improving your blood pressure, that's like the first indication that you're healing because blood pressure, that's a sign that you're inflamed. If your blood pressure is increasing and that vascular constriction is happening, your body is battling some kind of stress. So improving sleep quality and improving your blood pressure, those are like the two most important green flags at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, working on the sleep. So it's not where I want it to be, but it is getting better. So it's like still inconsistent, still having some nights where, I mean, I go to bed at a decent time, but when I'm tired when I go to bed, but I just cannot fall asleep. I'm having a hard time falling asleep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You doing the magnesium and zinc before bed?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Are you doing the sound therapy thing?
I was doing that. I started doing that, and then I found that it wasn't relaxing me. So I stopped doing that. But what I found is that so I'll put on um like last night, for example, I put on someone that was talking, and it that helped me fall asleep. If I'm hearing somebody, I put on a YouTube video, and it helps me fall asleep hearing someone talk. So
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. That works. I mean, for me personally, this is why, like, even on my streams and stuff, I do like the background with the water and the birds and everything like
mm-hmm.
that. That personally helps me. But like, water is like
Yeah.
my thing, right? But for some people, it may be something else. It may be like the sound of like a fan running or something like that.
Yeah.
So or brown noise, something like that. You can also look up something called binaural beats.
Binaural
Um,
beats?
Yeah, binaural beats. Yeah, it's like this
Oh,
real
okay.
deep, kind of warbling sound. But yeah, it sounds kind of weird when you first hear it, and it's like this pulsing kind of sound, like and
Okay.
it has these different layers of sound. It's almost like it puts you in a little bit of a trance, but it's really calming and relaxing. It helps me
Oh,
focus, to be
okay.
quite honest. It even helps with headaches.
Oh
right?
I'm
wow,
gonna
So
I
check that
need
he's,
that.
out. Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, really interesting stuff. So yeah, that background noise, and I know for me too, like, one of the things when I'm sitting here at this laptop and I'm working, and I got to be better about doing this, but cutting out all forms of media and just having like either meditation music or just the sound of the water running in the background.
Mm,
Right.
okay.
So that's a thing
Mm.
that really helps me in particular. Um, and I was just all day with the sound playing in the background, and I get really productive and I'm really calmed. My mood is a lot better and all of that kind of stuff. So I need to be better about that self-care and that aspect for myself too, but you know, because I mean, I'm not perfect either, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, we all can work on it, you know, those good habits. Because, you know, food, the reason why I focus too on food is because it's tangible, right? Like you can count the everything in the food. When it comes to sound and like a vibe or that kind of self-care, it's not as tangible because it's an experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just as important. I mean, your diet can be on point, but it's not like the only thing, but it's a good start, right? It's the
Yeah.
substrate that you build everything else on top of. Right.
It's also good for me.
Dominique, what's the best resistance
Mm.
bands to get that don't rip on you? I mean, I have some bands personally that I use that I got from Amazon. They're like these flat powerlifting bands. They're like these 42-inch loop bands in particular that I get, and I put them in my training plans. I've been using those for years. They're phenomenal. I've had a couple bands break on me, but they were like 2 years old. So they last for a pretty long time, and I use them a lot. So, you know, but the thing is that they're cheap, and even if it breaks on you, it's not gonna you're not gonna get injured in the process. But I usually get them like two at a time or so. So that's the deal with that. It's way cheaper than joining a gym, I'll tell you that. And if you
Sure
go on
is.
vacation or somewhere, like the ultimate thing for me, and I'm kind of like contemplating this thing where like, you know, I could just work from my laptop and just travel around and just eat fruit and nuts and like greens all day and train with resistance bands where, you know, you don't need a stove, you don't need a blender, you don't need anything, right? All you need is just your fruits, your nuts and seeds, and your greens, and then you're good to go, right? And you could just backpack. So that's kind of one thing I've been thinking about a lot and turn that into kind of like a lifestyle. So yeah. It's getting kind of late here too. It's going on 10 o'clock, so we've been on for a long
Yeah.
time tonight.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, Thursday we're gonna be on for the members only stream on Thursday here in the Discord. So we'll all be able to reconvene and share our successes and brainstorm on whatever struggles we're having and whatnot. And we get that support like that. And I think on the next stream on Monday, I'm going to have a Google Meet set up for, you know, folks to jump on and talk. So it's not just Discord members, right? So we kind of spread the love a little bit, get people to jump on. But yeah, it's been a productive night tonight. Anybody got any closing thoughts? Final questions?
Just about the inflammation. You said the turmeric tea, and what
Yeah.
else did you say?
Turmeric tea, ginger, moringa, the black seed oil, hibiscus. I think those were the things that I named.
Hibiscus. That was the other one, hibiscus. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've been pounding the moringa lately.
Yeah. Question, Coach. So, with my not having a gallbladder, can I do black seed oil or no? Would you recommend me not doing that?
You could do the teaspoon of black seed oil because it's not like it's not a significant amount of fat. It's very insignificant actually, so I wouldn't really worry
Okay.
too much about that, right? A gallbladder without a gallbladder, that's when you'll start having problems with like, substantial sorts, like amounts of dietary fat, like 20 grams at a time or something like that. Well, not even necessarily 20 grams at a time, but more so like when you start getting over like 40 or whatever the case is, that might have some problems. But having more of the malic acid in your diet would actually help. So I know with the fruits and things like that, we had a few fruits in your diet plan that help to, ease the digestion of fats by having more of that malic acid in your diet, right? So it wouldn't impact you as negatively. But just as a safety precaution, we generally have you on a more high carbohydrate diet anyway. Yeah.
It was a great session tonight. So thank you very much for going over those
Yeah, thank
green
you.
light items.
Absolutely. So, we'll talk more on Thursday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right.
Great.
Over here in the Discord, Raw Vegan Love, what's your Discord name? So the Discord server it's a private server for Tribe by Noir members. So when people become Tribe by Noir members, they get access to the Discord. Right. So that's pretty much how that works. That's one of the perks of becoming a tribe member. All right. But yeah, definitely, folks. It's getting close to my bedtime, so it's time to wrap. What's good for acid reflux? Oh, I'm probably going to have to talk about that more in depth on the next stream. But I would say magnesium, eating less, reducing saturated fat intake. Your fat sources should be more poly and monounsaturated fats. We should have a carbohydrate dominant diet. Leafy greens and fruits. Specifically with an abundance of vitamin C, potassium, and magnesium help to reduce acid reflux. So yeah, those are a few things there. Also, supplementation with magnesium, like magnesium glycinate, would also be very beneficial. All right. So.
All right.
I'm a jump.
Good night, Coach.
Good stream tonight, y'all. And I'll talk to y'all next Monday.
Yep. Good night.
All right.